Y'all. Hey, it's your girl, Sweet Tea. Welcome to another edition of the Black Gold Texas Tea Show. I'm so excited to have you here and to give you the opportunity to meet a very, very special friend of mine. You guys have no idea what you're in store for. He's truly a gifted creative mind, and he's a visual artist whose work captures emotion, culture, and imagination in every brushstroke. His pieces invite you to see the world through different lenses, full of color, story, and meaning. Please join me in welcoming my friend and a fabulous, talented artist, Ansel Butler. Hey, Butler.
What's going on? How you doing? Long time.
I know, right? Like a whole 5 minutes. It's great to have you.
That's correct. Now, if we're putting all the time together, we're gonna put time that was,
No, we're
late
not. No,
time
we're
as
not.
well
No,
as
we're
on
not.
time because you
So,
busy. You busy. Your previous podcast overran this
Mr.
podcast, and
Butler, Mr. Butler, Mr.
I was
Butler,
raised on being ahead of time. You couldn't even get into an HBCU classroom
Mr.
unless you was like
Butler, Mr.
5 minutes
Butler.
ahead of
This is
time.
my show, Mr. Butler. Can you please, can you please, sir? Oh my God. You guys, let me tell you something about this guy. First of all, as you can tell, he's a complete handful. And we're not even going to talk about how we met because that will be another 45-minute show of debate. But what I will say is this. When I found out that he was an artist, I literally begged to see him create, and it is something to see. And so we'll get into that too. But Butler, I really would like for you to tell, because to me, you were not confident when I met you that your art was amazing. Like I it was he to me he wasn't where he is now. You see, now he is definitely Ansel Butler. Back then he was just Butler, and he was as talented then as he is now. It's probably only his skill has probably only grown and gotten better. So when I look at you now, and I'm so proud of you, and you already know this, I told you I could pimp you out if I really wanted to, but we won't do that either. I would like for you to tell me, however, with your diverse background, because you've done a lot of things, tell me what first inspired you to become a visual artist.
You know, if I'm looking back that far, uh, it wasn't being an artist. I always drew things from childhood, but I think it was the various people that helped me and hindered me along the way. My one of my best memories is my stepfather, Joe Lofton, who's now passed.
Mm.
I was drawing some stuff. It was Marvel comic stuff when I was a young kid, and I couldn't get all of the scales correct as it relates to the dimensions and everything like that. And he brought me grid paper. And even before that, I was in a contest for Blessed Sacrament School, which is now, God bless, that they named it it's no longer, it was great that it was a Catholic school because I went there and got a great education, but it's now called the Nelson Mandela School in Omaha,
Wow.
Nebraska, which is where I
Okay.
grew up at. Yeah, so totally flipped. And Sister Teresa, who was my math teacher, there was a sixth, seventh, and eighth grade art contest to give the school a school name, a mascot. And so she slipped the drawings that I had done into the contest. And up
Without your
until,
knowing.
what's that?
Without your knowing.
Well, no, I asked her to, and then she
Oh, okay.
slipped them in, and
Gotcha.
she said, I can't do it because you're not in sixth grade, you're in third grade. And so, what I drew, what I created, became the mascot of the school. I won the contest. And so it remained the mascot of the school until I think it's like 2010, 2000, whenever they switched
Shut
it to the Nelson
up.
Mandela School. Yeah. And so, it just a lot of different things, a lot of different people that supported me. I always tell this joke about my brother, and he always says that he doesn't remember it. Part of my family is medical, and my brother was going through medical school, so I was a young guy, and he was like, "So what do you want to do when you grow up?" And I was probably like 7 years old, and I was like, "I want to draw." He was like, "Drawing? Let me look at my medical book." So he pulls his medical book up, and he's like, "Yeah, don't see drawing, don't see artists, don't see any of that in the medical book." So there were some aspirations that I had early on. That really, to answer your question, that really led me to doing what it is that I do now. When you met me, I was working corporate, but
Mhm.
I would paint all night, all day on the weekends, and so that was my whole thing, is to get as much work done as I could, to study it, to learn it, to make sure that I'm applying what I was currently learning or what I had learned, and make it make sense, communicate to people so that they understood what the message was. And
Gotcha.
so my entire life has been that. So there's a mantra or a saying that I utilize when people say, "Oh, so you're an artist?" I say, "No, I'm a businessman that does art." And so that's the way I've always done it. That's the way I've always conducted myself. You know,
Well, that
um,
makes sense because I see your business side as well, and you are as proficient from a business perspective as you are art. Did you ever take any classes or anything? Were you ever
yeah,
structurally trained?
yeah. So I've always been in an art class. I was the first person to do airbrush in Omaha. Uh, Period.
Okay.
So my family had taken me to Worlds of Fun in Kansas City, and I did not know what it was that I was looking at. It was a guy that was just spraying, doing airbrush, and I was like, "What is that? What is that?" And so I went back home and taught myself how to do it, and started doing it at 14 and a half. And then my parents kicked me out of doing it at the house and said, "You need to pay rent somewhere." And so there was a place called Leola's Record Store in Omaha, Nebraska, and her basement was my studio. And so I paid rent at 14 and a half and was doing jeans and everything like that. But back to your question, it's always been a thing that I wanted to figure out. It was just I had people around me that were very structured, if that makes sense, that
Yeah.
showed me how to conduct myself. Like when my parents found out I was doing this, they thought I was stealing jeans because I had all these jeans and t-shirts and hats. And my stepfather was like, "Well, are you doing it for free?" Well, no, no, sir. He was like, "So you don't have an account. Where's the money?" We got the shoebox. I had a shoebox. My parents had a pest control business, so I was always around business. And so I was taking their pest control. We talk about carbon copy, okay? Carbon copy, like you got to flip it and then you got to move the carbon copy. So I was doing my receipts on those. And so I had rolled up cash and then I had receipts. And so he was looking, he was like, "You need an EIN." And I was like, "A EI what? I don't know what that is." And they went and got me a bank account,
Uh-huh.
and he looked at everything. Do you remember the big calculators when you was a kid that had the roll on the back? He started going through the money and then going through the receipts, and he called my mom down because they was about to call the police on me or something, right?
Right, right, right,
And
right.
it was like he's making money. He doing this. This is what he's doing. And look, show her some of that stuff that you're doing. And he people paying money for this stuff. And so he was like, "Well, you could pay rent." And found me a place where I could go. I had my driver's permit at 14 and a half, so I had wheels. And so I would go to school, go to football, track, whatever that was. And after that, I would go up to Leola's and they would cut the lights off. And I'd be downstairs in the basement. I'd do my homework first. And then after I got done with my homework, I could do as many pairs of jeans or whatever. The orders would be on a piece of paper with like front of shirt, back of shirt, jeans, hat, whatever, and you just fill it in and write what the colors are and what you want to say, and I will put it together, and it just, yeah,
What I
14
what
and a
I see
half.
What I see you sharing is that you've always been a creative spirit. Like
But
it's definitely who you are.
my mother and my stepfather and the legacy that my biological father, my dad, left, that taught me a lot too.
Oh,
And
okay.
the business, how to conduct yourself. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
That was really critical because there sometimes you'll meet someone who is an amazing artist, but they're not looking you in your eye. They're not engaging with you. They're not talking about what the process is from the business standpoint, how they're going to handle it. Does it need to be shipped? Are you taking it here? You know, this is what it is that I do. If it's an original piece, I'm going to give you a certificate of authenticity. That's the business aspect of it. Being able to put it into a trust so it has value. If something happens to you or something happens to it, you get money off of it. So being able to invest in what it is, because it is property. It's
Hmm.
property. It's
Hmm.
part of your estate.
So let me ask you this because I know that the art that I've seen that you've drawn, it runs the gamut. I mean, from
Thank you.
beautiful landscape sceneries to abstract to cultural historical pieces to straight
Messy studio.
cultural that part. But I mean, I'm thinking about all the pieces that I've seen. You've done a lot of things for the Divine
we,
Nine.
yeah.
It just runs the gamut. So my question to you is, who or what influences the work that you do?
Life. Growing up in Nebraska, music, my parents, my friends. So culture is everything. Like, you know, you're seeing Athena Gibson, who was known for tennis behind me, and you're seeing an unknown current person. It's past meets the present, and you know, I'm a golfer, as you know, so I love golf, so I like to do different pieces that involve that, but it's everything that touches you is if you like it and it's who you are, then you should involve yourself in it to some degree. If you can't be a football player, then go watch football. Be a football fan. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But if you can play, play. And so, you know, in my life, I've done a number of things. The one thing that has been consistent that when I turn over and I don't wake up, hands that have paint on them, it might be in the bed
Yeah.
sheets messed up because I grind like that. You
Yeah.
know
I know.
that. You
I
know,
know.
we
I
go
do.
way back. So
Too.
you know, it's I'm up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then like when I was working corporate, I would work till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, get up at 6, 7, whatever that was, and head to work, do the work, come back home, and get right back at it. You know, and so I think that the motivation is just life, slavery, music, uh, just overall beauty. Abstract was the very last thing that I approached in my life because
I noticed that. Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't trying, man. It it'd be
But
like
I'll tell
I
you
worked
something
at
that's
it.
crazy for me, Butler, is that you do something that I had never even heard of before. And when I tell you I loved hanging out with you, I love being in your presence when you were creating because I could see God's gift
Thank you.
becoming tangible, right? Like I said, I begged you to let me sit and just watch
You
you.
didn't beg me. You
Yes, I did
just
because
I
you
want to see it, and I
no,
was
you
like,
no,
I don't
no,
really
real
do
talk.
that.
You were
I
saying you talked about the energy and you
yeah,
talked about you didn't want this certain type of energy to be a
yeah,
distraction to what you were doing. I'm there,
yeah.
listen, I pay attention. But the part that I was thinking about is the fact that I took you to Home Depot
I
to
lived at
buy
Home Depot.
wood.
Yeah,
And I was like, wood, and to watch you look at the different pieces of wood
yeah,
and the
that's wood.
grain in the wood to define how that would be a part of the art that you created. And then a piece that I have, and I know that you don't burn as much as you used to, but how you burned it so that it was dimensional. And you
Yes.
said to me, you were so in love with art that if a person was blind, you wanted them to be able to touch your art.
Yeah.
and see it. You thought I wasn't paying attention to this stuff? Man, you must not understand how much I love art as much as you do. I just don't have the same gift. But all of those things were crazy to me. And it emphasized your creative spirit. And
Thank
so I
you.
know we give each other a hard time all the time, but I hope you know I pay attention to those things. You are one of the most creative and focused on your gift persons I've ever met. And when I
Thank you.
think about those things, like, how does that come to you? Like, when you're deciding what you want to draw, and I guess I know it's life and all of those things, but like, tell me about the thought for Althea Gibson with the piece that's behind you. Talk to that bit.
So I research everything. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what the history is before I do it, and I want to have a greater understanding of why and the need for it, why there would be an interest in it. You can chase things, or you can actually create and be ahead of things. And one of the pieces that I've done that's not published was done in 2016, 2015, thereabout. And it was when all the riots were going on all over the country, all over the country. And if somebody dies or somebody does something great and because becomes someone, Barack Obama, for example, you know what I mean? LeBron James. I've never been a person that chased that. And so there's plenty of people that will do that, and I love their work. I love your
Right,
work. But
right.
I just wanted to create something that was not right there in front of you. And so like I had created this piece during that time, and then it just stopped. All the riots stopped. Do you remember that? The peaceful
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
demonstrations,
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
rioting, all that in 15, 16, it just went away. And so I had this concept. It was a great concept, but then the riots went away, so it wasn't as valid. And so when George Floyd happened,
yeah. Hmm.
I was like, I've got this piece. I could put masks on some of the people, age some of the stuff back to the 60s, 40s, whatever that looks like. And then, you know, I could do Black Lives Matters on a part of, and it updates it, and it makes it relevant from that
All
point
over again, yeah.
all the way up to this point.
Hmm.
And you know, that was something that I was very proud of because I was able to take moments, stitches in time is what I like to call them, and utilize those, and it touches more than one generation. To really answer your question, I just try and find things that are relevant to me. And is there somebody out there that it's relevant to as well? And art.com, posters.com, when I was in Dallas, when you knew me, uh, when I left corporate, and like they saved my life. I mean, just the reproductions, working with them, it really got me out there and got my name out there. And so when I started doing shows and traveling, which happened shortly after we met, uh, that's what helped me because I was actually going to Virginia, going to Atlanta from Texas, doing shows in Texas, going out to California, wherever I was going, Chicago, Detroit, whatever. Shout out to all those states and even more. Nebraska, I'm from there, Minnesota, all
Right.
these states. And Denver, doing these shows, man, and Miami and everything. But I had created a road in front of me. So I didn't have to build the road as I was doing it. And so art.com and posters.com, you know, they were taking care of the bills, man. They really were. And it allowed me to free myself and open my time up to do what it is that I started doing full time. And that's that's not a lie because nobody wants to work 10, 12 hours and go home and work it again, and that's the way I live my life, man. And just
I wouldn't
these,
understand it if I
yeah,
hadn't borne witness to it, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
saw you.
yeah.
And
And I
and
appreciate you. I
and the
appreciate you.
pieces that you're talking about, like I still remember your pieces associated. I think we just lose the last Tuskegee Airman.
Yeah,
I think we
yeah.
just lost the last one, and I got one of your pieces that I'm very proud of. And ironically enough, when my great nephew joined the Air Force, his unit was the Tuskegee Airmen, and
Nice.
so I gifted him. I'm about ready to fight him if he doesn't appreciate it the way I do, but I gifted him my piece that you did of a Tuskegee Airman with the red tail in the back on wood, and the wood grain were the waves in the sky. It's a beautiful piece. It
Thank
really
you.
is. And I think about those things because what I see you doing is what you just mentioned. You're definitely bridging those stitches in time, but these young people don't always have that connection to those things that were of the past. And so your art is also a conversation piece that allows them to talk to prayerfully. They'll be inquiring, they'll inquire enough to find out the connections of where they are and what their lives has now versus where our ancestors brought us from.
I think it, and you make a very good point. I think it's important to be able to have a clean and concise explanation of what the premise is, and why. To your point earlier, and so when you're able to explain something, and I'm going to segue. It was the first time I came to Atlanta to do an art show, and you remember the Negro League piece that I did,
Yes, that
right?
was what I was going to ask you about that next. Yes.
So it toured with the Negro League Museum for a number of years during Black History Month. They would tour with them, and then they had it there in Kansas City. But like the one thing was, I was setting up that first day in the underground here in Atlanta on the Pebblestone area that kind of goes down at an angle. And these two guys was walking by, and I'm setting up, just trying to get everything together before everybody comes. So this is before the mall has opened up. And so these two guys, they stop, and it's a rainy day. I remember it like yesterday. And he was like, "Hey, young blood." He was like, "Hey, man, what's that right there?" I was like, "Oh, that's my Negro League piece," and I'm going through the different players that are really really highlighted, and then um, there's an all-star lineup at the base, which
Right.
is actually two separate all-star lineups because I didn't want to get sued for infringement reasons.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I did half and half, and then like if you saw the emblem on their hat, you did not see the emblem on their chest, and vice versa. And so, you know, he was like, that's real good, man. He was like, "Who's that person right there?" I was like, "Yeah, that's Red Long." He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "So who that right there?" And I said, "Okay, that's this person," and naming various people. And so he unbuttons his jersey, and
Butler.
and two of the people that were there were in front of me and wanted to look at it, touch it, whole nine. And it was like, we can't we can't really afford what it is that you're selling this for. And I said, I'll just I'll just give you both one. I mean, what you did, how you impacted, you helped open it up so that black people could play in the major leagues because we weren't allowed to play when you played. And
These men played in the
no,
Negro League.
they were there to sign autographs. They had their
Oh my
jerseys, their original
gosh,
jerseys on under their
Butler!
coats. That's why I said it was raining, so it was chilly that day. And so they had coats on. One lived in Alabama, one lived here. And so Willie Lee and Red Long, that's who it was, those two. And so I went ahead and gave them each a reproduction, and both of them signed the original. So they were there on behalf of the Negro League Museum in Kansas City. They were doing
Right.
a signing that day, so I just
Right.
got blessed, right? Double blessed.
Yes, you
And
did.
so I did a painting of both of them in carved wood, which was my thing. To your
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
because they liked it, and delivered one to Alabama, delivered one off of Marietta Street, and Chattanooga is where Willie Lee lived, and his house was a museum. It was just amazing. But I say that to say this: it's like you just never know. And like I remember doing that show, and shortly thereafter, I think within a year, I left Texas and moved here to Atlanta. And so that had to be '05, '06, because
Something like
I moved here in '07,
that.
May of 0 March of '07. But it's, you know, life will take you where you want it to take you, and sometimes it'll take you where it wants to take you, and sometimes it takes you to where you need to be.
I
And go ahead.
Yeah, listen, I'm still messed up with that experience. I can only imagine. And the fact that they would say, we can't afford this, and your humility in the moment to recognize the value of who they were.
It's understanding that individuals that some individuals that come from that far back,
Mhm,
they made okay money for back then,
mhm.
or they made good money for back then, depending
For
on who
back
they were.
then.
You know, you talk
Yeah,
about a Satchel
yeah,
Paige or somebody like that, it was
right.
different money. But all I'm saying is it wasn't the same as they were making in Major League Baseball.
At all.
And so
And a
they
whole lot more risky back then because they could have been killed for what they were doing.
man, the stories, it's amazing to know that it, you would risk your livelihood to go and play a sport.
Yep.
And now, you know, risking your livelihood, now. So what goes around
Right.
comes around,
Right.
won't jump into politics too heavy, but,
Nah.
uh, it is what it is. I think that I've been blessed, and I've been fortunate. And, you know, I had to get to a place where I stopped listening and just doing. Because if you really believe in what it is that you want to do, if you really know what it is that you want to do, what is it going to take for you to get there? And just talking to other artists, Gilbert Young, who is a mentor to me, I don't know if you know who that is, but
I remember that name. Yes.
it's the arm reaching down over the wall and lifting the other arm up. And
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
heavy. He's not heavy. He's my brother. And
Yes.
you know, like when Gilbert and I met, man, I was so blessed to meet him. I actually met him at that show, and then when I moved here, he became my mentor. And I mean, it's just so many funny stories with him because, I'm a person. I'm very straightforward. I think you know
Yes,
that
you
about
are.
me, and he is like 10 times that. So it's like having an art football coach. You know what I mean? And I was at the gallery that we had down in Little Five Points back in the day, and Gilbert and another artist had come through, and they were looking at a piece that I was unveiling. Like literally, I'm taking it out and taking everything, taking out the box, and I sat it up against the wall, and I'm about to hang it in the gallery. And Gilbert says, "Hey man, you all right?" I was like, "Huh?" He's like, "You okay?" I was like, "What you mean?" He's like, "Man, did you go to sleep while you was working on this thing, man? Because your strokes are real heavy and disjointed right here. I mean, are you doing? I mean, do you need some money? Are you okay? Because you don't just represent yourself; you represent all of us. And when you put your work out there, your work needs to reflect. Not just you, but us.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, no, no. You want to eat the carrots? Gilbert Young is the one to go to. If you're allergic to carrots, you still gonna eat them carrots because he gonna give it to you, man. And he was right. Like I was painting all night, was tired, was trying to get through it. He
Mhm.
was like, man, don't get through it. Put that down. Clean your brushes. Take your power nap. But you don't disrespect
The
what it
art.
is that you're doing. This it represents you. Your last name is your family's name. You're a male. Now,
Mhm.
now, even if you're a female artist, engineer, whatever it is that you are, it's still your family name or it's your
That's
married
right.
name,
That's
and
right.
you represent that. So, like, we always click because he never held anything back. And I remember I'm looking at a golf piece right now. I remember when I was working on that, and he was like, "Young blood, your background it's not fading enough. Let me have that brush." I was like, "What?" I was like, you can't. He was like, do you want to learn the technique or do you not want to learn the technique? Because I can put this
Oh
down
my
and we can
God.
go and I can go grab something to eat and you paying for it because you wasted my time. Do you want to learn the technique or not? And like he taught me something in, I think it was like a 20-30 minute time frame of him doing this technique. I never learned it in college. Never. And he showed it to me right there.
Well,
Like,
see,
get
this is the thing that I know about you, and listening to this helps me understand why. When you came back to my house and I showed you where your pieces were throughout my home, and you said, let, I need to finish that. Let me take that back. And I was like, you're not taking my piece. No, no, no. I just wanna, that. But I can make it, you can't make it nothing. This is what it was when you finished it. And from that perspective, I understand it a lot more now and I
growth.
respect it. But by the same token, that's the original. And if nothing more, it speaks to your growth.
It
So let me
it
ask this question. How do you know when a piece is finished? Or is it ever really finished?
So the way that I've grown to answer that question, the way that I've grown is that I don't come back into pieces. Like the last one that I did is the last one that I talked to you about, which was the one from 1516. Um, I don't do that anymore. However, you do see your age.
You do see your age,
I
yes,
see my age
yes, and your maturity.
and my maturity and what it is that I do and how I approach it. I remember the very first piece that I sold through a relationship. Uh, a really good guy. He was having his house opening, and I got invited, and he had the painting that I did for him up in a prominent spot. And so you'll remember this about me. So airbrush has been there for a very long time. So I would airbrush and then I would mix it in with acrylic and do all kinds of stuff like that. So I did his favorite guitar players uh, in acrylic and then mixed it in with airbrush. And my client loved it. Like I put real guitar strings coming through the wood because you know my wood thing. And it I thought it was just the dopest thing ever. And so we're there and this guy comes up and he was like, hey, you know, you're the artist that did the work, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, that's pretty dope. I like that. And he was like, you know, you brought the strings through, got a real guitar, brought the guitar off of the wood
I remember, yeah.
and he's like, it's a shame that you didn't just paint it in acrylic and use that airbrush. And he walked off. And I think it was within a month, uh, I gave my airbrush, all my paints, everything away. And uh, I'm not a person that has always had a lot of patience. And as you grow, you hopefully you grow into a space where you can do more. This is oil. I I would you could not pay me money to do oil because I didn't have the patience. And so uh didn't want it in college. It just took too long. I just got through the courses and I was like, acrylic, I do it. It'll be done in 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes. It's dry. I'm rolling. But then this thing happened where I did oil on wood. Wood, because it's porous,
It absorbs it.
it absorbs the oil and it's dry overnight or in a few hours, and you still have the oil. And, you know, it was a scary thing for me to go into oil because of how I'm built and what my expectations are for myself. And so I just, I, oh, that's it right there. So, uh,
From the den of Ansel Butler.
oh,
We're
sit down.
seeing this
From the
live.
mess, the mess. This is uh, oil and acrylic, oil base. The till is oil, and then
So
I did
there's dimension there, right?
well, kind of. There's resin. There's a resin, and then the acrylic is on top of the resin. So this is. I was too afraid to do anything bigger than this. So this is that's oil. The till is, and then I did a resin, which gives it the shine, and then the acrylic on top of it. So this is me literally
Practicing and playing.
playing and getting comfortable with resin, twofold oil, resin, and then from there, just throwing the acrylic on there on top of it because it was, that's my comfort zone. But uh, yeah, that's
What makes it shiny?
a resin. So, have you ever gone to a bar? Of course you have. Uh, and you see that they have like pennies or they'll have beer caps and it's
And
clear. That's a
yes.
resin.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so on some of my pieces, I'll use resin, which,
Buttshot. Buttshot.
yeah, it'll make it shiny. It'll make it hard. If you've ever seen uh, where they'll have a bottle of wine that's pouring into a glass, but it's floating
Yes.
and it looks like it's being poured.
Yes.
It's a resin
Okay.
or an epoxy, same thing.
Yes,
Epoxy or
I've heard
resin.
that term epoxy. Okay.
Yeah. So,
We get our own
people,
private little lesson in art as well from this artist. I appreciate it. I absolutely appreciate it. Not to mention the little pooch uh, shot. Oh, you gave us a lot just then. Thank you so much.
I'm
What can
not,
I say?
this is damaged goods right here. This is my experiment. Like maybe 10 people have seen that thing when I had my first gallery, and then I pulled it down because it was an experiment. But
Well, Butler,
I,
if you can't tell, I'm very proud of you. I
I,
really
I, I
am. And I
thank
see
you.
how you've grown as well. And I'm so excited for what God continues to give us through your gift that He's given you. Let me ask you a quick question. Where do you see yourself like in the next 5 years or so? Because I know you can't retire, or can you?
You could die with it,
That's what I was thinking.
and so you know, me honestly, there are if certain pieces are around still, if they're not sold. I know people in my family that want it. Some people want to buy it, pay for it. Appreciate y'all. Uh, I have my own collection, and then there's other people's stuff, and there's a painting that I made in Dallas. It's called Harlem Nights. It's a whole bunch of cars at nighttime. It's like 40s vehicles, and they're right out in front of the Cotton Club. And somehow, a client of mine that's up in Denver, um, I don't know how the conversation came up about that piece, but it hasn't been online in God knows how long, since art.com and all that, and wanted the piece, and like the original was up in I have this huge attache that is for artwork and preserving it, and so I promised that I would never sell the piece, the original one. So I just had it put up, and she asked about it, and you know, gave validity, was able to get the validity, and just framed it, figured out what kind of framing she wanted done. She's in Denver, and she's just trying to figure out the piece was customized. All the reproductions were, and because of the way that the painting is set up, it's a lot of reflection. It's rainy out, and there's reflection off of a lot of the cars from the neon street signs in Harlem. 40s, just think 40s, right? And so essentially what I have done on the reproductions is I've customized it. So if what I know that you go by tea, sweet tea, right? So we
Right.
could put sweet tea's place reflected off of a car, and that customizes it to you because no one else is going to have that, right? So some of them say
Um,
lounge or bar. It's
yeah.
just a reflection, and so she wanted it, and uh, the last show that I did, which was in my home state of Nebraska, went ahead and had it there. It's actually right here, behind some other paintings, but it's essentially sold. She just has to figure out what nickname she wants to put on it. And once she does that, then
Wow.
customize it and shoot it up out to Denver, and she'll have what she needs. But it's nuance, man. You there are pieces that come back into my life that somebody finds online for some kind of way, some kind of reason, and it's like it just becomes, and
I get it because you
yeah.
tried to take my piece and I had to talk bad to you. I was like,
I
I
was I
got what you
was
want for it.
I was just trying to update your piece a little bit because
Mhm.
I had grown, and
Yeah,
that was gonna be for free,
yeah, it's still mine. I
but
take
you was
that
like,
back.
nah,
No, no,
I'll give it to my nephew.
no, that wasn't the one you were gonna update. Don't even try it, Butler. Anyway, let me ask you one. I'm gonna ask you maybe one or two more questions. One is, if you think about, and it's probably extremely difficult, but even though they're your children, if you think about all of your artwork, is there one piece that is probably most important to you, or one that you love the most, whether it's doing it or proud of what it has become or whatever?
They're all my kids.
That's what
I like like I'm trying to remember old boy's name that played for New York uh back in the 60s. He's still a commentator. Uh no, it was brother that played for the Lakers. Long story short, I have more paintings than he has kids. Okay. And like I have a lot of them out there, and
Yeah, you
they're
do.
they're also relationships. There,
Yeah.
the business was done well.
Hmm.
Um, my first client when I lived in Dallas
Hmm.
was a painting that I sold up in Virginia, Newport, Virginia, and um, she was like, "Yeah, I can't take that." Do you remember in Heat of Passion, the the
Um,
the boy and the girl's
hold on, hold
kissing?
on, hold on, hold on. Let me talk about this piece real briefly before you continue the story. Because as
You
I
so
stated
extra.
at the top of this interview, that I begged you to let me watch you draw. And you said, okay, you made me watch a movie with Denzel Washington. I can't remember the name. I thought I would never forget the name of the movie. I'd never heard of it before. It's a movie that's based in New York. It's awesome movie. I can't remember what it was, but it was amazing. And I
I'm a
had a
movie
piece
guy.
to
Yeah.
watch. And I'm sitting there, and when I arrived, you had this picture of this couple seated with a beach scene behind them.
Yeah.
And as I sat there in my quiet, hot energy, I must say, that whole piece turned into the heat of passion, and everything became red. I was like, woo, I must have really heated him up. I changed his whole picture. So to this day, until the day I die, I'm taking credit for the heat of passion.
Cat, cat, oh, first client on an outside show is Catherine Lane. Shout out to her. She's an attorney with Cisco.
Okay,
Uh, Great person. Has turned me on to a lot of other clients that I really
which is
appreciate.
helpful, absolutely.
And I'll just say, like, um, I went up there and she couldn't move it because of the size of it. So I had to bring it
Oh,
back to Dallas, and I got paid for it in advance,
okay.
and then I shipped it, and that was the beginning of a great relationship, which has flourished and moved on. There are a number of people that I still stay in contact with and get repeat business from because of how I approach the business. Integrity is important. So, I think, like, at the end of the day, like I said, if a person likes my work, thank you. If a person does not like my work, there are typically going to be other artists that are out there. It's social media, and being able to put it out there like we can put it out there is an amazing tool if you're utilizing it. AI is an amazing tool that you can use. I
Are you
mean,
doing some AI stuff?
not yet. It's
Okay.
coming, and like beginning of the year, just really when I get some time to sleep, I'm sleeping. So it's like, just taking some courses, playing around with it. Uh, I pretty much develop either through a sketchbook or through Photoshop when I work. So, or any of the other tools that are out there. AI is something that I'm playing with right now and just take it in steps. I can go into Photoshop and I can create a lot of stuff, but what they have on the AI side is just like that. And you can create it in a day, produce it in a day. Um, I'm I just need to look at originals versus reproductions, and the laws are
Oh,
changing on that, and
yeah.
understanding how they're being readily identified.
Yeah.
Most people just set a price and sell it,
Period.
and I understand that as well. But if I want to monetize it and I want to do reproductions, I just want to look at that, and just there are just some business things that are important for me to understand a little bit better.
Absolutely.
I'm back in school, right?
All over again. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
let me tell you something, man. What an inspiring conversation this has been.
What a messy studio I have. Thank you.
That's only that you noticed that. We didn't notice all of that at all. I just
Somebody
want,
gonna notice it. They're gonna be
well,
like, "You
it'll be
messy."
some of your other friends that'll see it and they'll tell you about it. I'm not going to say anything. Just know, Mr. Ansel Butler, my friend, I thank you for sharing your creativity, your passion, and your story with us today.
Thank
Your
you for
art
having me,
reminds
Miss Sweet Tea.
your art reminds all of us that beauty has power. It speaks, it heals, and it connects us all. And I can't wait to see what's up next for you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm looking at a lot of work right now.
Okay,
So
you
we
are.
we yeah we coming. We
Well, we're
coming.
looking forward to it. Before we sign off, tell us where we can find your gallery online because I know that you have a site.
So it's AnselButler.com. A is in Apple, N is in Nancy, S is in Sam, E is in Edward, L is in Lincoln, Butler, BUTLER.com. And I'm simple. You can Google and see all the social media stuff. If you just put in Ansel Butler, you'll find me. But AnselButler.com is the site. In January, you'll start to see an unload of 4 pieces. In February, you'll see an additional 6 pieces. And then in March, you'll probably get about 3 to 4 more, and then that'll cap the year, and then I'll start doing some other stuff. But like right now, I I haven't been able to create. I've started like that, but I'll get a commission or get a couple of commissions, and so it's just pushed me back, and so I'm not doing any more commissions
Okay.
until after like March, April. I just need to focus on new work.
Well, don't think this is the last time that you're going to hang out on the Black Gold Texas Tea Show. I expect to come back and do a
Sweet
recap
tea
or a
is
catch
what
up.
it say. It
That's what it
say
is.
sweet tea. It say
That's what's
sweet tea.
up.
It don't say Texas. Got to get
Well,
the marketing together.
some people call me Texas Tea. That's just for them. Those who know me from Texas can call me that.
I
Know
got
that
you.
I love you, and we'll talk again real soon, huh?
Thank you, ma'am. Always.
You guys, that guy is the craziest friend I have, at least one of them. And I love him so very much. Butler is, like I told you from the beginning, he is a different breed of artist. And I encourage you to go out and look at anselbutler.com at the amazing pieces that he has. I'm sure there's something that you'll want to add to your collection. And we also thank Butler because during the month of October for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, he also contributed a couple of pieces, a few pieces, to a silent auction for a domestic violence free organization in Dallas, Texas. So, Butler, we thank you for that as well. Listen, look at your friends, look at yourself. We're all very gifted. God gave us all something. And it is up to you to tap into those gifts that are your own as well as those of your friends. Because we're all more alike than we are different. And today is the first day for the rest of your life. Let the rest of your life be the best of your life. Until next time, God bless.